What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith, and welcome to The Nerdy Narrative. On this channel, I like to talk about all sorts of bookish related things, from science fiction and fantasy, to horror, to manga, comics, literary fiction. You just never know what I'm going to stick my nose in next. Well, today is Friday, and on Fridays, I like to do a little weekly reading wrap-up where I talk to you guys about what I read, what I'm currently reading, and what I plan to read next. As far as announcements for this week, I just want to remind you guys that next Thursday, March 18th, I will be a part of a live stream that is going to be on Nikki's channel, Dark Between Pages, where it will be her and I and a few other booktubers from the horror community. We're going to do a live stream with author Joshua Marcella. I've talked about Joshua Marcella's debut novella, Scratches, on the channel plenty of times in the past year, and in the coming weeks, you're gonna hear me talk about Severed, which is the prequel to Scratches. I am very excited to share that with you. I'm really excited to do that live stream. Joshua Marcella is just a delight. He is very active in the horror community. The guy is just a nut. I love him. I am very much looking forward to this live stream. Now let's slip into what I read last week, and I am stoked. I finished 3 books. Well, okay, so actually, it's not that I got on a roll, it's that I fixed a problem that was interfering with my reading. My phone. My phone was definitely getting in the way. Even though I had it on vibrate, I could still feel it going off, and I would stop reading to see what my notification was. Most of the time it's Discord or Twitter or Instagram, and then all of a sudden I would fall down a hole of replying and getting involved, and just suddenly 30 minutes to an hour have gone by. So there's 2 times of the day that I spend a bulk of time reading. That is in the afternoon with my afternoon cup of coffee. I usually spend a couple of hours reading, and then after dinner I usually spend a couple of hours reading. And so what I have started doing is when I sit down to read, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. That way it doesn't light up, it doesn't buzz. At that point, I'm like Jon Snow. I know nothing. And as a result, I can really get immersed in my book, and I can just get some work done. That's definitely a habit I plan to continue. So the first book that I completed is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I really like this book. The Only Good Indians is still my favorite of the 2 that I've read by him so far, but I really enjoyed this book. Stephen Graham Jones is a huge fan of slasher movies. This book was definitely a tribute to the 70s, 80s, and 90s great slasher flicks like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Scream. It was so much fun. But I was having so much fun reading it that I kind of forgot this is a horror story. I definitely had a final girl moment where it was like, I have totally forgotten that I needed to be looking over my shoulder because something's out there. Telling you is a slasher story is about as good as I can get without spoiling anything. I mean, we all know how slashers typically work. And if you've forgotten, Stephen Graham Jones has a really cute way of educating or re-educating you on how slashers work called Slasher 101. I loved those sections. They were so much fun. But I finally finished Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, which is where I chose to start my beginning of the Cosmere journey. This book I've been working on over 2 months, and I just really have been struggling with it. In my last update, I had a subscriber comment. She's like, you know, I think we might be in the same place. Would you be interested in doing a buddy read for the rest of it? And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm willing to try anything at this point. So we got connected through Discord, and it worked. It was almost like magic. We started chatting about it with one another. Turns out we were within a couple of chapters of each other. Next thing I knew, I had blazed through the rest of the story. I did hit the standard length, and that definitely gave me the momentum to just binge out the last couple of 100 pages of it. So the ending was great. Even though I've only read a limited amount of the Cosmere, it was still some really fun connections that started in Elantris that have continued even through Rhythm of War. I really enjoyed that. I love the ending. There were a lot of questions with the ending that I wish had been fleshed out more. Unfortunately, even with the ending being great, it wasn't a rewarding enough payoff for me to say, I'll reread this book. I will probably never ever reread this book. The first 400 pages were just difficult for me to get through. I didn't enjoy it the first time. I know I won't enjoy it the next time. There were many times I actually considered DNFing this book, but I wanted to make it through. I just wanted the full benefit of all of the fun connections throughout the Cosmere. I also completed Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This book was a love letter to the 80s. Everything 80s. Everything. TV shows, movies, video games, the clothing, the music, everything. It was all here. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. There were also plenty of 90s references sprinkled in throughout as well. Now, I enjoyed this book. I liked it. I liked it a lot. But I think what I liked more is what it reminded me of. The memories that it reconnected with me more so than anything. All of the old gaming consoles that were mentioned are all ones that I owned and have a lot of really good memories playing. And so now that I've read the book, I can tell you I still like the movie. In fact, I would probably rather rewatch the movie than I would reread the book. Alright. That takes care of everything that I wrapped up reading wise. Let's talk about what I am still currently reading, which is The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. How to describe my journey through this book? The first several books were really humorous, really funny. I laughed my way through them. The next several books got really complex, just very, very complex. The characters, the conversations the characters had were just very political, very religious, and deep, very deep. You definitely needed to be present when you read those sections. And I don't even know that I grasped a good understanding of what I read. So we started with humor, and then we got the complex religious and political conversations. Now we're in a mystery, and I'm very interested in what's going on. I can say that some predictions that I have made were not true, and so now I don't know what to think. I don't know who did what, but I'm just along for the ride to see where Dostoevsky is taking me. This section is a more familiar aspect of his writing style, where it's like a rat in a maze, just working its way through and finding some wrong ends before finding its way through. That's how I felt when reading Crime and Punishment. I just felt we were stuck in a maze with the characters, and we hit a lot of dead ends, and then we'd have to go back and work our way through before a character finally had a breakthrough where it moved forward in the story. Definitely interested to see where this is going. I'm just not even gonna try with figuring out where I think it might go. I'm just gonna enjoy the ride at this point. With the way my week worked reading wise, that's actually the only book as of right now I'm still currently reading. But I will rectify that after I get done filming today, because the first book that I'm gonna pick up is going to be The Drawing of the Three by Stephen King, book 2 in the Dark Tower series. I am so excited. So many of you guys have posted in the comments about how much you love this book, and I'm so ready to share that experience with you. So I'm going to dive into this one today. And then I also plan to start Severed by Joshua Marcella. I want to get this one read before we have the live stream with him next week. I don't know if I will read it alongside of The Drawing of the Three or wait till I finish. We'll just have to wait and see just how good I find The Drawing of the Three. Also later today, I will be getting started on volumes 11 through 20 of the creator-owned comic series Nailbiter. I really enjoyed the first 10 issues. I fully expect to enjoy this block of issues as well. In fact, when I start reading them, I'm just gonna make sure I have a nice big chunk of time to devote to it, because I binged the first 10 and I fully expect that to happen with this next block as well. And then as far as short stories, I did not get to The Butcher of Anderson Station by James S.A. Corey. I'm actually going to push that one forward and work in the next story in Sed de Sangre by V. Castro. I want to get to the second story in that collection. I totally forgot I had started that. I want to finish that this month, so I will hit that second story. I totally forgot what the name of it is. I will take care of my week of reading, guys. Eliminating the distraction of my phone was a huge step in increasing my reading productivity as well as my enjoyment, because now I can just get into the story, get lost in it. What do you guys do when you read? Are you able to eliminate all distractions? Do you have set times where you read? Like, anything you can share with me that might help, I am all ears. Or I guess I should say eyes, since I'll be reading it and not hearing it. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have had a wonderful start to your day. I hope the rest of your day is absolutely fantastic. I'll see you soon.